The nonprofit reports back in 2024, 37-year-old Tiara Walker started having unexplained seizures weeks into her pregnancy. Because of her history with preeclampsia, a pregnancy complication that can be life-threatening, she asked for an abortion but was told no. And a little more than 2 months later, her teenage son found his mother dead in her bedroom on his birthday. She was just 20 weeks pregnant. Gavatha Sarana is a reporter with ProPublica. She helped break this story. She's joining us now to talk more about it. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to us about how your team learned about Tiara and what happened to her.
Well, we've been doing a much larger project over the past year to investigate maternal deaths in states that have banned abortion and understand how these laws are affecting women's health care. So we've already uncovered 3 cases actually in Texas and 2 in Georgia that were related to access to reproductive care. And this involves a lot of shoe leather work, talking to people in those states, also requesting death records, speaking with families. And we learned about this case from Tiara Walker's family. They were there with her in the hospital. She was in and out of the hospital from the very first weeks of her pregnancy, sometimes for weeks at the time. And her family members were always with her during her ER visits and prenatal visits. And so they were able to witness the deterioration of her health and also the conversations that she had with doctors. And they said that she was very concerned about her health. She had high-risk chronic conditions going into pregnancy, so she was sick and expected to get sicker. But when she tried to ask if it might be better to protect her health to end the pregnancy, they felt that she was dismissed and there was never a real counseling session. Now, we spoke with more than 12 OBGYN experts around the country who reviewed these records for us and told us that standard practice would have been to advise a patient like this of the high risks of her pregnancy early on, to continue having that conversation as her condition worsened. She was having seizures, her blood pressure was never under control, and she developed blood clots. And to offer a termination of pregnancy at any point if she wanted it for her health. Her health until the very end didn't rise to the level of an urgent emergency, but it was always a precarious pregnancy. And so what we've really see through this case is how these laws don't leave space for, they don't have exceptions for health risks. So the kind of conditions that Tiara entered pregnancy with, there's not many doctors who are willing to treat that in states that ban abortion.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought was especially interesting about this case is that she had preeclampsia before and lost twins because of that condition. This condition extremely life-threatening, and again, the autopsy revealed that that was her cause of death, right?
That, as well as she had many other, an enlarged heart and fluid in her heart, kidney issues that had developed that she hadn't even been aware of. So she wasn't even truly aware of how risky her pregnancy had become, even while she felt something inside of her that she didn't want to risk her life and leave her 14-year-old son motherless.
Yeah. This past legislative session, Texas lawmakers passed a bill that is supposed to deal with some of this, right? And it allows doctors to use their own medical judgment opposed to waiting until a woman is on the brink of death, right? Which is pretty much what they said the law as it was currently written stands if a mother is not at risk of dying right then and there. You reached out to lawmakers, Texas lawmakers, to see what they said about this case and, perhaps that amendment. What did they tell you?
That's right. This change has went into effect after Tiara's case. And there's still an open question of how it's going to be implemented, how hospitals will use it, especially while there's still criminal penalties in place that can threaten up to 99 years in prison and loss of medical license for doctors and anyone who participates. So ProPublica reached out to every author of the bill to ask specifically about conditions like Tiara had, uncontrolled hypertension, diabetes, and I think it was very telling that none of them responded to us. You would think it would be a very clear answer if they intended that this law is going to cover chronic conditions, high-risk pregnancies, But instead, all we heard back was one Democratic lawmaker who said she didn't think that the bill had gone far enough and she wants to see more exceptions in the future.
Yeah, information that is certainly frightening for women in Texas with chronic health conditions who are pregnant or want to get pregnant. Tabitha Serrano, reporter with ProPublica, the work you all are doing on this is really eye-opening. We thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us about it.
Thank you for highlighting Tierra Walker's case.